led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Maverick Sessions, and then we will have an inspirational thought by Paul Weber.
Please rise. Repeat with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the spring of 2006, I was hired at Mountain View High School, so it's my 20th year, and quickly, within those first couple of years, I learned how powerful and impactful a unified school district could be. And I plan to be at Mountain View for about 4 years. I'm so excited that we can bond together around PG and move forward. It's interesting when you look at unified teams, they walk together step by step. Not huge leaps, but it's the individual small steps that make the greatest gains in the long run. So I'm excited for whatever our district is called moving forward.
I apologize, we have one mic. They're working on that, so we will be sharing for the time being. Thank you very much for your participation. I will now turn the time over to Board Member Smith for our recognition.
We'd like the Mountain View cross-country team and coach to come up just right in front of here if possible. Just right in front. And we try to recognize the students and coaches, teachers, etc., people who work for the district, who attend the district. We've done amazing things. You've probably seen these boys running across Orem. That's one of my favorite things to do, is be driving somewhere and see a bunch of Mountain View, or for that matter, Orem, Timpanogos, Pleasant Grove, high school students just running. They just run. I once went to a swim meet, and it was like overlooking community UAU, and I'm standing there watching the swimmers, and in runs the Mountain View cross country team. They ran down there for a run, and then they turned around and ran back home. So we really, it's great. It's a great habit to get into. We'd like to congratulate this group here. This year the boys at Mountain View High School cross country team, they won the state title. It's the 5th consecutive year. I'm going to say that again, 5 years in a row. 2021 through 2025 that they've won this title. Not these 5 boys, they were in 6th grade at the time. But the team at Mountain View High School, the team that runs together. And we'd like to congratulate them. And throughout the whole time, Mike Strauss has been their coach. He's right here. And we'll see him. I also want to recognize that the girls have won twice in the last 3 years. They did not win it this year, but they won the last 2 years. And so congratulate them as well throughout the years. They're just great work. Cross country is such a great thing to be involved with, and the things that you learn. So thank you for coming. Thank you. And I appreciate all the things that you do for our planning and for our new district and for Mountain View.
It is totally appropriate for these boys to take off after the recognition. We are grateful for their willingness to come here on a Wednesday evening. Okay, we're now starting our public hearing portion of our meeting, not our portion meeting. So I'm going to entertain a motion to close the board meeting for the purpose of our public hearing. Can I get a motion? Great. And motion by Board Member Rex, a second? Okay, seconded by Board Member Fugel. Okay, I will now entertain a motion to open the public hearing in regards to board compensation.
Motion that we open the public hearing regarding board compensation.
Okay, so we have a motion from Board Member Sorensen. Can I have a second? Okay, there's a second by Board Member Hilton. Okay, I now declare the public hearing open for board compensation. A sign-up list was available prior to this meeting to allow patrons the opportunity to speak. Those living outside the Timpanogos district boundaries and those who were unable to sign up before the meeting can submit written comments at, can we go to the website? We have a website. So it is www.alpineschools.org/o/Timpanogos-district/page/board. It'll be up here. Okay. As you are called up, please introduce yourself by stating your name and what city you live in. You will then be given up to 3 minutes to speak. While the board does not engage in a discussion during the public comment period, they may arrange to communicate with you later. We have one person that signed up, John Gadd. Oh, yeah.
Speak from here. Please speak.
Can we get it turned on? This one?
Yes,
There.
I'm so sorry.
My name is John Gadd. I live in Pleasant Grove. With respect to board compensation, I would just encourage this board to remember that the money that you pay yourselves doesn't grow on trees, but comes out of paychecks of hardworking citizens who live in this area. Sorry, not out of paychecks, out of property taxes of people who live in this area who pay for their homes and their businesses. The Alpine School District, which you guys are 2.0 version of, they quadrupled their base salary, the school board did, in the last several years. I hope that trajectory does not continue. You're shaking your head, Mr. Fugel. Their base salary was $3,000 around 2018. They upped that to $12,000 or $15,000, and then they also upped their benefits. Some of them make $30,000, $40,000 in benefits every year. This is for a part-time job where you come and you do, 24 meetings or so on evenings. And so, again, that money doesn't grow on trees. It comes out of taxpayer dollars. We're taxed to death. Alpine School District raised our taxes 12 different times in the last 8 years. 12 times in 8 years, way faster than the rate of inflation. And I really hope that that trajectory also doesn't continue with this new school board. Families are struggling. Elderly people who live on Social Security, disabled people who are disabled who live on Social Security disability, young families with children, all sorts of people are struggling to pay their property taxes. And so as you contemplate how much to pay yourselves and how much benefits to give yourselves, because unfortunately the benefits are way bigger than the pay for the current Alpine School Board, please consider where that money comes from, and please consider the burden that it places on families who live in our area. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing as we have no further comments for the board compensation public hearing, I declare the public meeting, the public hearing is closed. Okay, so that public hearing is closed. I will now entertain a motion to open the public hearing in regards to our budget for fiscal year 2026. Motion. Thank you. Board Member Rex, motion. Can I get a second?
I second.
Okay, Board Member or Vice President Hampton with a second. Thank you. Okay, I now declare the public hearing open for the budget for fiscal year 2026. A sign-up sheet was available prior to this meeting to allow patrons the opportunity to speak. Those living outside the Timpanogos district boundaries and those who were unable to sign up before the meeting can submit written comments at the same website I offered before. It's under alpineschools.org if you look for our Timpanogos district. As you're called up, please introduce yourself by stating your name and what city you live in. You will then be given up to 3 minutes to speak, and while the board does not engage in discussion during the public comment period, we may arrange to communicate with you later. Our person that has signed up is John Gadd for the budget.
My name is John Gadd. I'm from Pleasant Grove. With respect to the budget, again, I would just like to encourage this board to set the budget wisely and be careful with the money. As I mentioned before, a lot of the money comes from our tax dollars on our properties. Most of it comes from the state, and then a tiny portion of it comes from the federal government. But ultimately, all that money comes from taxpayers. I'm a little bit discouraged about this board because I'm worried about your loyalties. During the election, many of you, not all of you, thankfully, but many of you accepted campaign donations from political action committees. And for people who don't know, political action committees have rights that citizens don't have. They can bundle money from a whole bunch of different donors and then funnel it to candidates who they like. 4 of you took money from Stronger Orem PAC, although 2 of you didn't mention that it was a PAC on your campaign disclosure, which is sort of deceptive. 5 of you took money from the Governing Group PAC, which is a PAC that's based out of Davis County, who recently got a $100,000 donation from a Delaware corporation that's so shadowy that when an investigative reporter tried to look into where they are and who they are and where this money came from, they couldn't find anybody by that name. That PAC and Stronger Orem PAC, Governing Group PAC, both commit all kinds of campaign violence or finance violations. Very corrupt groups. One of you, David Smith, accepted a $1,000 donation from Equality Utah, which is Utah's leading gender ideology activist group. Thankfully, Grace Rex and Guy Fiegel didn't accept any PAC money, although Guy Fiegel did give a $3,000 donation to the board president, Jen Lyman, which is really fishy since most candidates spent less than $1,000 in the primary, and he gave a $3,000 donation to another candidate, which makes me wonder where Jen Lyman's loyalties will lie. I'm really concerned about these groups, these radical groups that you accepted money from. I'm really concerned that you might not have the citizens who live in this area's best interests at heart. I encourage you, notwithstanding the fact that you got gobs and thousands of dollars of money from these groups, to not push their radical agendas in this budget, but that instead you consider the fairly traditional values of most of the members of this community. Not everyone has traditional values in this community, but most people do. And if you're going to represent the majority of our community, I would hope that you would be very fiscally conservative with your budget, and you would be very socially conservative with the way that you choose to spend that money and the programs that you choose to spend that money on. Thank you.
Okay. We didn't have anybody else sign up, so seeing no further comments, I declare this public hearing closed. I will now entertain a motion to move back into our regularly scheduled meeting.
I'll make that motion to move back to our regular meeting.
Okay, motion from Board Member Fugel. Can I get a second? Okay, second from Board Member Sorensen. Thank you. Okay, we now have up to 30 minutes set aside for public comment. This opportunity is allocated for patrons living within the Timpanogos School District boundary. As I mentioned before, the sign-up sheet was available prior to this meeting, allowing up to 10 patrons the opportunity to speak. Those living outside of the Timpanogos School District boundaries and those who were unable to sign up before the meeting can submit written comments. So we do have a comment button on our website where you can offer those comments. alpineschools.org, look for the Timpanogos District. As you're called up, please introduce yourself by stating your name. You will be given up to 3 minutes to speak. While the board does not engage in a discussion during the public comment period, they may arrange for a staff member to communicate with you later. Personnel issues are not appropriate discussion items for an open meeting environment. If you have a personnel concern, please contact a member of the ASD administration, or put your concerns in writing and address it to our board, the Timpanogos Board of Education. Okay, it is time for comments. We have one individual that signed up for comments for our public comment, and that is John Gadd.
My name is John Gadd. I live in Pleasant Grove. I want to speak tonight against your decision to pay the Utah School Boards Association, or USBA, to vet the new superintendent and business administrator for our new school district. I speak for your benefit, but also for the benefit of all members of our community who might not be familiar with USBA. The reason you should not be paying our hard-earned tax dollars to USBA to perform this vetting is because USBA is a radical, woke, and deeply corrupt organization that does not represent the values of most of the members of our community. I will give you 3 examples. First example, USBA is a state chapter of the National School Boards Association, or NSBA. NSBA is a radical and woke organization. One proof of this is what happened during COVID. You might recall that during COVID, the U.S. Justice Department labeled mothers and grandmothers who expressed concerns at school board meetings as domestic terrorists. This domestic terrorist label originated in a letter from the NSBA that urged the use of domestic terrorism laws to stop mothers and grandmothers from complaining at school board meetings. And in light of this controversy, many state chapters of NSBA severed ties with NSBA, but not Utah. USBA doubled down and reaffirmed its commitment and continues to send millions of our tax dollars to NSBA. Another proof that NSBA is a radical and woke organization is the millions of taxpayer dollars NSBA spends every year hosting DEI, gender ideology, critical race theory conferences all around the country. These conferences are proudly attended by local USBA leaders such as Mark Clement, who proudly posts on his Facebook page about attending these controversial and inherently racist conferences. Second example, USBA promotes woke policies to Utah school districts. For example, one policy that USBA has pushed out to Utah school districts in recent years is a radical policy that hides a student's gender transition at school from the student's own parents. This policy has been adopted by the Alpine School District, which you guys just are about to adopt all their policies. So you have that policy now. Third example, USBA refuses to comply with Utah's public records law, GRAMA, even though a court found that they are subject to GRAMA this last summer. In the last decade, USBA has received over $70 million from local school districts that siphoned off and not spent teaching students, but instead goes to USBA. But whenever a citizen sends a GRAMA request to see how USBA is spending those tax dollars, USBA tells them to go pound sand. To this new board and to all members of our community listening to the meeting, I would ask, do we really want an organization vetting our new superintendent and business administrator that considers concerned mothers and grandmothers to be domestic terrorists, that pushes woke and radical ideologies like critical race theory, gender ideology, and DEI, and that refuses to comply with Utah's open record laws? I would ask, how can you expect such a corrupt organization that is so out of step with the values of most of the members of our community to do a good job vetting a superintendent and business administrator? I would also ask, isn't this board's decision to use USBA to vet the new superintendent and business administrators necessarily going to result in this board hiring people with woke and radical values that are hugely out of step with the values of most of the members of our community?
Our time is up. We appreciate your time, Mr. Gadd. Okay. Seeing as there are no further sign-ups for comments, we will move on to the approval of minutes. The minutes were posted and sent to our emails. I will entertain a motion and a second to approve the minutes from both our November 25th board meeting and our December 4th work session. Okay, I have a motion from Vice President Hilton. Can I get a second? Thank you. Second from Board Member Rex. Okay, is there any discussion? So we have the minutes put forward. Is there any discussions or concerns about those?
Who's keeping those minutes? Is it Bree?
Yes, and they're posted on our website. Okay.
Nicely done, thank you.
Okay. Seeing there's no discussion, all in favor of approving the minutes as they were given.
Aye.
All in favor say aye, sorry. Aye. Okay, that seems unanimous. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the adoption of current ASD policies. With Senate Bill 188 that was passed last legislative session, it said that these new districts are going to continue with the policies of the district from which they were formed. And we just wanted to make that a little bit more official and explain the reason. So the reason behind it is so that we can be official and we're covered by the policy set forth by Alpine School District. We have a plan that we're going to discuss now as we open the discussion about how we can keep up with what is changing with the Alpine School District and how we can review going forward.
So I'm opening the discussion for that.
So if I understand correctly, we will take all of Alpine School District's policies for the time being, and then we will review them in our committees and decide what we want to have changed. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that's how I understood it before the election, so.
Is there any? This one? LT9, this one, yeah.
Does anybody else care to have clarification or understanding or want to give their thoughts on the adoption of policy?
I reread SB 188 today in regards to policy, and I think it is concerning more employee benefits and salaries, but I do think it's a good baseline for us to adopt ASD policy to have as we move forward, and then as Grace says, we'll go through it and make changes or adopt as we see fit for our own district. Grace has
I just want to say that I love policy, but I know that I personally don't have the time to go through all of the policies and change them all in the first 2 weeks of us being in school board. So I'm really grateful that we have a little bit of time to go through them all and before we actually become a district.
Yeah, and so I've talked with Joylyn Lincoln, who is on the current Alpine School District board, and she is also working on the Lake Mountain School Board currently. And she has a great system for reviewing and reviewing the policy and updating and keeping track, setting metrics to, she's really excited about this. If Grace is excited about policy, but I think the most passionate person I ever met about policy would be Joylyn Lincoln. And so she has been gracious to offer to train the board members on our board that want to know more about policy and create a good system going forward. So I'm excited about that.
Thanks. I would just add that I agree with Grace that it's nice to not have the pressure of reviewing all the policy right now, but that we have some policy in place to guide our actions and our decisions, and that we then put in place a system for reviewing those policies and changing and revising them according to the needs of our current situation. So I'm very much in favor of having some policy in place to guide us moving forward.
Well, and we can be flexible as issues come up, then those policies can be brought to the forefront that we can address now before we even take on students in July of 2027. So I think if we focus on, there's going to be the stuff that needs to be addressed immediately, and then we have both. So we have a systematic process and also being able to adapt as things come up.
Can you speak to what the plan is if or when Alpine School District changes their, so we're adopting their board, their policies now, but let's say next week they change one, we wouldn't have adopted that one.
Exactly.
Is there a plan to kind of review what's happening at that level to see whether we should to keep in line with state law or whatever?
Yeah, so that leads to my next order of business. I'd like to discuss having a policy committee. I know that both Grace and Ada have mentioned that they would like to help on the policy committee. So I'm putting Ada at the forefront and Grace at helping with that. Is there any other board member that is would like to help with the policy committee. We can have 3. Open meeting laws require that if we meet in these small groups, that if we limit it to 3, we don't have a quorum. So those committees can work and get a lot of the work done and then bring it to the whole board. So that's how we organize in groups of 3. I'll entertain any offers to help with policy.
I would be willing to help as a third
Okay.
member on the policy committee.
Okay.
I like
Great.
policy.
Great. Okay. Okay, so then I am going to ask for, Bree, do I need a second, or Vicki, do I need a second on this if we're just voting to adopt it?
They just have to work in the head of the committee as the chair, has to accept the nomination, and then you assign the other 2 to the committee.
Okay, so if board member Wilson isn't here, how do we handle that? Wait, can we go ahead and adopt the policies for ASD? Okay, then do I need a motion for that? Okay, can I get a motion for adopting the current policy that ASD has?
I motion that we adopt the current policy that ASD has.
Great. And if we need a second?
I second.
No, Nathan.
Okay.
So, okay, second. Okay, so if we needed a motion and a second, we have both. And all in favor of adopting the current ASD policies as they are written currently, and then creating a system where we can, what's nice is that our meetings follow the Alpine School District meetings, so it might have to be actually the week following because we do have to post our agenda ahead of time. So we will task our policy committee with doing a system to be able to do that.
So yesterday was a perfect example of policy at this Alpine School District. There were 4 policies, and 2 of them they passed, and the other 2 they decided to think about and discuss a little bit more before they passed them. But most all of them, I believe, they had to change because of state law changed, and so needed to change the policy.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor of adopting ASD policies as they stand? Aye? Aye. Okay, it appears to be unanimous on that vote. Okay, moving right along. Next is the approval of our budget for the fiscal year 2026. So, okay, so in Senate Bill 188, which I mentioned, we'll probably be referencing that a lot during our meetings. It is kind of setting the course for us these next 18 months. In that Senate bill, they allocated $60 per student to be given to the new districts for their not startup costs, but their operating costs for the years prior to them. We have no taxing authority as a district yet. We will not have any taxing authority to generate funds until we take on the education of students in July of 2027. Therefore, they've set this, it's a $60 per student amount that we get, and that has to cover our operating costs. So we are paying for tech services here. Any of our expenses as a board will come out of these funds right here. So the amount allocated to us based on student population, and interestingly enough, I mean, if people care, I love budgets, I love to talk about spreadsheets and money. They did allocate, it's not just within our contiguous boundaries, they also took into consideration students in our boundaries that attend specialty schools. I believe Polaris, Dan Peterson, is that correct? Summit. So it went up a little bit more than what I thought it was going to be, which was great. So we have allocated, and as always, a budget is actually just a guesstimate, a really educated guess on how things are going to pan out. And where we are blazing a trail here, we made a really educated guess as far as we did salary research for our superintendent and our business administrator, just spitballing what that might be, and then other expenses. The cities, the 4 cities had some expenses that they incurred when they were creating the interlocal. They had to write the maps that they were using for dividing out our seats for the different the different seats that we were running for the new school board, setting those seats, and actually delineating where the municipalities lay. Those maps they had been using were from 1915, so they had to update those. There was some cost. That was about $12,000, I believe. And then there was some additional just incidental. They started that website that some of you have seen, timpanogosSD.org. We're working on getting that transferred over to the Alpine School District one. But so they had some other costs. So we just rounded up a little bit and took that to 15,000. Materials and supplies, computer equipment, that would be for the board, and then for our superintendent, our business administrator, and an administrative assistant. We're so grateful for Bree is our help right now. She is helping 4 boards with all of the work that they are doing. It's mind-boggling to me. And then communications and marketing, board expenses, and then general expenditures. That's just kind of, I don't know if you guys do a household budget, that's my miscellaneous category. It's going to catch some things that, like I said, we're blazing the trail. There's probably going to come some things come up that we're not aware of. So the goal is to have as much to carry forward as we can. This fiscal year, it covers just only 7 months from when we took office. And then, but we'll have to cover those expenses for the entirety of from 2026 to 2027. So, yeah, that's kind of an explanation of the budget. Is there any discussion from the board?
Clarifying question, so this budget includes the first allotment or both allotments from SB 188?
It's just the first. I could talk about this all day. This is my favorite thing to talk about. So, any questions? Concerns? Okay. Then, seeing there is no further discussion, I would like to ask for a motion to approve our budget as it stands.
I'll make that motion to approve our budget,
Okay.
as stated.
Motion from Board Member Pupil. And a second? Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. Second from Board Member Smith. Can I, all in favor of approving our budget as it stands here?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it appears unanimous to pass that. Okay, and we kind of talked about this a little bit, and I guess I was hoping Board Member Wilson would be. Oh my gosh, you guys, totally skipped that. I apologize. Okay, so going back to an item on our agenda is a discussion of our board compensation. So we decided to just, as we were adopting everything that ASD had, there was some discussion with some board members as we were talking about this individually as I was talking to board members. So currently the ASD board receives $1,000 per month, and they receive 100% district paid help. For personally, just to share my situation, so my husband is a district employee, so we are already on the employee health insurance plan, and so there would be some benefit to be double covered, but as I was looking at the numbers, I thought that's a large expense for less of a benefit to my family for the lots of time spending doing this. So I mentioned it that maybe we could possibly do an insurance stipend in lieu of taking the insurance. So the board is entitled to the full plan, which I believe is $32,000 for a family. It's $20,000 for a couple and $10,000 for a single. And so I thought it would save us money if we were to offer, if any of the board had access to other insurance, to provide a stipend that would offset any expenses that they had through their other providers, maybe to help with their premium that they have to pay, or as a benefit for not taking the insurance. So that was kind of my thought, and then in talking to some at the district, they actually are piloting that a little bit for the interns to offer that same option to have a yearly stipend. I thought it was pretty, I thought it was pretty a good idea to be able to save a little bit on, especially those who don't need the double coverage. So I want to open any discussion about the board compensation. Oh, and also a computer, as I mentioned, for the work. It helps with security to have a computer that is dedicated just to this work and not have other things on it or have having our important work things on a personal computer. There's a little bit of security risk there. So any conversation, any discussion?
I do have a question. How often are we expected to review compensation packages? I'm just wondering, is that an annual review, or is it?
I actually don't know that.
Is there a policy that governs that?
There's no policy.
There's no policy?
Jason has a comment. Jason Sundberg is the current business administrator at Alpine School District. He has a lot more institutional knowledge than I do.
My understanding is if the board member wants to make a change, they have to have a hearing, but there's no set time. So if they can't change without a hearing, but any changes have to have a hearing. So if it just stayed forever, 10 years later, a hearing to change.
Yeah. Okay, so he said that there just has to be a hearing. So like we did a public hearing that allows for public input. We posted, so just FYI, we post, when we have a public hearing, we post that. It has to be posted for 10 business days on the Utah website, required for public notices. And then it's open for the public hearing for people to come and make comments. So that's what we have to go through that same process again if we wanted to change it. But I like that I think this is, in my opinion, I don't think it would need to be changed for any reason. I think it's fair, and my husband would argue with that, but it's something, so. Any other questions, or?
I just want it said out in the public that especially Jen Lyman is spending way more than part-time on this job. So just want to say we are all spending a lot of time.
Yeah, this job has been, we don't have a superintendent yet. We don't have a business administrator. We are leaning heavily on Alpine School District and all of the resources that they are offering. But a lot of the comments that I receive are, you work with your superintendent to do that. You work with your superintendent to do that. Or you have your administrative assistant do that. And like, we don't really have those set up yet. So it has been taxing. And this is a new, like I said, we're paving a way, and the time spent, I think, by all of us is going to be a little high until, that's why we're in a rush to get our superintendent. Not in a rush, we're not rushing. We are anxiously engaged in finding our superintendent. Yeah. Any other discussion? Thank you for that, Board Member X. Okay.
I guess I would like to just articulate that I do think that it's a fair compensation package.
Yeah, and I want to share also that we review compensation across the whole state as far as, and it doesn't, there's not a real formula that you could follow. You have some districts that are extremely small by student population, collecting more than districts that have a very high population, and this seems very middle of the road, and so yeah, this wasn't come about. We just didn't. We pulled from ASD obviously, but I did some research on that and shared that with our board. So anyway, this is great. Okay, so I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the board compensation.
I move that we approve the board compensation as outlined.
Great. Motion from Vice President Hilton, and can I get a second as well? Okay, second from Board Member Sorensen. All in favor of approving the board compensation as noted here? Say aye. Aye. That is unanimous. Thank you, guys. Okay, Next on our agenda is a discussion of our policy committee. So we kind of talked about this as we were talking about the policy. Actually, yeah. So I'm gonna suggest that we move this discussion, since Board Member Wilson isn't here and she's going to be chairing that committee, to move that to our next meeting. Is that the process that I do? So I'm gonna move that we continue it to our next meeting. Do I need a second, or?
No, you just have to ask if anybody objects.
Does anybody object to that?
I think I do.
Okay.
Our next meeting's in a month, and I think it's in the best interest of our new district to get going on at least a plan, not to review all of them by then, that's not the hope or anything, but if we could have a temporary committee chair, someone who's less experienced than Ada,
Okay.
and then just start moving down the road. What we're going to do if ASD changes their policy? What's the process to get everything reviewed in the next 5 years or 2 years or whatever? What does Jolene know that would help us? They could start working on some of those things if they were a committee, and we could have a temporary lead, or we could have nobody take the lead and just have it start.
Great. Board Member Rex, are you willing to accept a temporary chair of the policy committee?
Sure. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah. She's okay, so any discussion? Do we need to, well,
I just
I
want to echo my
can we
support.
remove the motion to continue? I will remove, how do I do this? I'd like to request that we remove the motion to continue. Is all in favor of that? It's to strike it. Strike the motion. All in favor? Aye. Okay, that's unanimous. Okay, now I will make the motion that we appoint Grace Rex, Board Member Rex, as our temporary chair of our policy committee, and Ada Wilson and Sterling Hilton will be assisting with that. Any other discussions as far as ideas for the committee or direction that we would like for them to go?
I just want to say I have talked to Joylyn, sorry, I'm saying her name wrong. Joylyn, and I think she has some really good ideas. I'm really excited to learn from her. I like policy, but I know I have a lot to learn, and I'm willing to do.
Okay, great. So I am appointing the committee as follows: Grace Rex, Ada Wilson, and Sterling Hilton to our policy committee. Okay, the next item on our agenda is board member comments. We're just gonna start down there, actually, with Board Member Rex. This is our opportunity to share what has been happening and our experiences and what we're seeing.
Okay, I'm really excited to share what is happening with our survey for the new name of our school district, what we will be named. And I just wanted to report on how many people have filled out the survey. We've had 3,034 people as of Monday, and 284 of them are just from the community, and we have about 543 employees. Some of those are parent employees, 915 students, and over 1,393 parents, and some of those parents are employees as well, so if the numbers don't add up, that's why. But I think that's a great start. I hope we get some more. It's open till the 20th. And also, I just want to give a shout out to some of my favorite names that the students have given. They're ones that we probably won't use, but I just wanted you to know what they are. Yellow Koala, Unified Unicorns, the really cool district. I can see TRCD, the Snow District, Fry Sauce District, Righteous District, and my daughter's favorite, 6th Avenue District.
Okay, Board Member Smith.
Again, I just want to thank Orem High for letting us come here and use their facility. I know it takes a hit on their employees, and also the district technology, Jared Draper's group that have helped us with so much. Bree, who has helped us so much, and then again, I appreciate all the board members for all the things I've learned so far from you, and we'll continue doing that.
I want to talk about our official web page. We are getting a lot of constituents asking where can we find information. So just to let you know, this is where you go to learn about what we're doing and get updates. And our survey is linked on this web page. It is a page on the Alpine School District website. And along the top bar, you'll see districts. And then you find our Timpanogos School District. And and then there are these separate links about us, our school board, and the maps. So the school board is where you'll find agendas, minutes, documents, and recordings. So that's where you need to go to get all the information you ever want about our new district. I can talk about the kickoff. I'm on the kickoff committee with David and Ada, and we're meeting tomorrow. So, Friday, okay. We're meeting Friday, and that's our update. We haven't really picked a date or a place yet, but we're moving forward with that, and the survey is a big part of that, and the naming of the new district is a big part of this kickoff.
Yes. After the 20th, that we as a board will talk about all the different names and pick 6 of them. Fortunately or unfortunately, this is not a popularity contest for the name of the district. We will decide based on what we think is the best name for our district as a group, and we will look at all the names and then send out another survey with our top 6 and get an idea of what the community feels about that as well.
Okay, board member Fugel.
No, I don't have anything, thank you.
Okay. Board Vice President Hilton.
I would like to just give an update on from the committee for hiring the superintendent. We've met a couple of times, and we've put together a job position that is now live on the USDA website. We've talked about and are trying to adhere to the following timeline, where that job position will be open until January 6th, which gives essentially 4 weeks for individuals to put in their application who might be interested. Then there will be a period of time, fairly short, but a week and a half of reviewing and screening those applications. That review and screening will be done by a committee of community members and educators that will be nominated by members of the board from their respective seats. And then after the screening, the top 5 to 6 candidates will then be brought in for a first round of interviews with the board. And then the following week, the top 2, possibly 3 candidates will be brought in for a second round of interviews by the board. And then a decision will be made as to making an offer to one of those successful candidates. So we're hoping that by the end of January, we're in a position to announce who the superintendent is. And they would be starting anytime in early February, hopefully no later than mid-February. That's our aggressive timeline that we're trying to meet.
Okay, anything else? I wanted to talk a little bit about, we've been doing we've had a site visit to our the Linden warehouse and technology building, physical facilities building, purchasing area in Linden. There's a campus there, the special ed building, which is just south of that. And then we went and saw Sharon Elementary. That's right, those 3. And so our goal is to hit every property in our area at some point over the next actually starting in January. We're not going to be doing any through the rest of the year, but starting in January, to meet with the principal, possibly the custodian. We need to see each property. I think it's so important. I'm not as familiar with the schools in South Orem, and some of the board members from Orem aren't as familiar with the properties in Pleasant Grove and Linden. So I want to let you know that we are doing that. Those will be informational only. There will not be any decisions being made at those. It's just collecting as much information. I think that's what a lot of us are doing. I would like to share. Do any of you have your playbook? We were given on Saturday. We met with the superintendent of Alpine School District, and we're given this playbook. I want to give a real shout out to all of the departments who have put together information to help us during this transition. We are so grateful for the path that they have paved and the hard work that they have done to give us all the information that we need. These are a little bit individualized as far as dealing with the things that we're going to be dealing with as a South District, and so this is our homework over the next month or two to dive into this and be familiar with all of these. There's human resources, a timeline, operations, student services, business administration, educational services, technology, results and achievement, special education, specialty schools, federal and state programs, CTE, and administration and leadership. So there's a lot going into this. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes at Alpine School District and also as our board. So I'm grateful for each of the board members here. I'm grateful for you guys coming out. I hope you know that we are accessible. Our email addresses are on our board page now, so if you have questions, feel free to reach out or talk to us when you see us and we're out and about in the community. We have need to go into a closed session for the purpose of personnel. So I will entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I move that we go into closed session.
And can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we need to do a roll call vote to go into closed session. Oh, yes.
You need to state the reason why we're going.
Oh, for personnel. We are going into closed session for the purpose of discussing personnel. So, is that appropriate? Thank you, Mayor Fugel. He's mayor for another couple weeks. So. Okay, we need to do a roll call vote to go into closed session. Whenever we talk about personnel issues, about people and we're creating our committee, that can be done. It will be recorded for legal purposes, but it won't be available, it won't be made public. So we'll do a roll call vote. I will call each member, and you vote yes or no to start a closed session. Board Member Fugel?
Yes.
Board Member Hilton?
Yes.
Board Member Lyman, yes. Board Member Sorensen?
Yes.
Board Member Smith?
Yes.
Board Member Rex?
Yes.
Okay, the board meeting is now closed, and we are moving into a closed session.